When I recently consider Emmanuel Macron's statements about Africa, every conscious African should quickly understand everything he has told us and what it meant. General Chani recently spoke about the change in tactics or strategy of the French forces in Africa. I think he came to confirm it. It is about dissolving and maintaining a foundational setup. Emmanuel Macron said it so well that we can only thank him for this sincerity. Even if some wanted to pull the wool over their population's eyes, reality eventually catches up. They will not leave. Certain countries, they have just dissolved the setup. You will no longer see them in bases, but in embassies they will be there. They will form security companies to secure their existing society in those countries. But the soldiers will be there, although you will no longer see them in uniform or gathered in bases. That's all it means. They will reorganize, but they will be there. He spoke of politeness towards certain heads of state by giving them the priority to announce the break or the departure of French forces. We don't really care, one might say, but all we know is that if you want a break with these imperialist forces, it's simple. You denounce the agreements. Everything starts from there. I think the example of Chad, in any case, is tangible. They started by denouncing the agreements. Otherwise, if we don't denounce the agreements, just saying that the bases are leaving, we haven't done anything. Because the problem lies in the colonial defense agreements that have been signed since independence. The most dangerous are not those you see on the bases. The most dangerous are the military advisors. Military advisors exist in all these countries. They existed in Burkina as well until the end of 2022, until we took responsibility. And who are these military advisors? They are the ones who are supposed to implement France's policy here. They must work to make our armies very weak, so that France can always have the argument to exist here. Under Blaise Compaoré, they succeeded. Our sentinels stood guard with sticks. That's what France wants from our armies. When we reach this stage, we have no choice but to want them to come and settle. But the Burkinabe army managed at one point to get rid of the military advisors. Unfortunately, I think that in 2019, after Operation Otaponu, when these French saw that the Burkinabe army still had the capacity to respond to terrorism, they called the chief of staff to France. They instructed him to reinstate the military advisors throughout the structure. He did not agree, but upon returning to the country, the politicians instructed him to accept the military advisors. And that's when the military advisors returned to the Burkinabe army in 2019. With all the consequences we know, the army was disappearing in the years 2020, 2021. And moreover, that's when many soldiers had to desert because there was no more hope. We were collapsing. That's a bit how they work. At the General Staff headquarters, in all the army headquarters, in the schools, they are the ones who are supposed to dictate the policy of our army to us. They are the ones who tell us how many to recruit, when to recruit, and what to do with them. They are in the schools to tell us how to train them, and so on. As long as these military advisors are there, you are not independent. Your army will just have the appearance of an army that is there doing parades, a circus. But when war comes, you will realize that a parade is one thing, but war is another thing. The agreements must be broken. It's the only way to have an independent army and to build strength. But many people may not understand this. And even with these agreements, France selects officer cadets from our states to go train them. It's through these same agreements. But in reality, these officers who go to train, for the most part, for France, they come to serve the French state in their country. They do not come to serve our countries. They train them so that they come to serve the interests of the French state. I can provide evidence of this. When we revolted, many officers in Burkina, who were trained in France, were immediately contacted to be told that it's time to take action because you were trained for this, to serve France's interests. Most of these officers reported back to us. We took note and we continued to monitor. When an officer trained in France arrives in his country and unfortunately dies either by accident or on the battlefield, in France, there is a night of tribute to the fallen in the army, as there is everywhere else. During the night of tribute to the fallen, the name of the officer in question is mentioned, and it is said, died for France. They do not train him to serve his country, they train him to serve their state. And in many African states, there are plenty of these officers. How many are patriots? God knows. This is a lesson that Emmanuel Macron has once again given to the African head of state to catch up and truly lead this fight against imperialism. But in addition to that, he also insulted all Africans in his remarks. There is a part that caught my attention where he talked about ingratitude, and that ingratitude is a disease not transmissible to humans. He is human. Our ingratitude is not transmissible to him. This is how this man sees Africa. In us, sees Africans. We are not humans in his eyes. Maybe he is the one who is not human. He does not place himself in the class of humans. But if there is indeed an ingrate, it is him. I think that if he is not an atheist, and he prays, every morning when he wakes up and prays, he should also pray to the Africans. Because it is thanks to our ancestors that there is a France today. He should pray to us. In his eyes, we must not be humans. We are more than humans. These are very strong messages he conveys. I weep for the French people, but still, he is good for Africa. He is a necessary evil for them. Those who want to wake up, wake up. Those who do not want to wake up, as we say, you cannot wake someone who is not asleep. Africans must wake up. We must work towards being independent, to at least ensure that our people know happiness. And the fight against imperialism, that's what it is. We must decolonize mentalities. Take all these factors into account, because the world gives us so many examples to see. For them, there is no morality. They can label you a terrorist today, but tomorrow you are a hero. With just their words, they decide what they do. They talk about democracy, but they themselves carry out constitutional coups among each other. They talk about human rights, but they decimate populations elsewhere. Africans must wake up. Africa must wake up. And the fight against imperialism is ongoing. And I invite you to join this fight, to work so that we are truly independent, self-sufficient, and able to develop, to know happiness, which is what our people aspire to. Thank you. I wish you a very good day, a very good week, and a very good year.